It was great to see you all at our CARES Act Funding Summit. There were three questions that we did not unfortunately have time to get to, but we're going to answer them right now for you. Joe, thanks for coming back for a few minutes to tackle some of these questions. First question is around water utilities, and this one is for water utilities where expenses have been largely covered by existing budget, like salary, overtime, IT-related costs. It doesn't seem like we meet the requirement of losses incurred. So would that preclude us from seeking cost reimbursement?
If you're, A, it depends on what funding stream you're going after. B, if those costs were something that you already had a line item approved budget expense for a particular, let's say, IT expense, that likely would preclude you from that reimbursement. If, however, these were expenses that you incurred in direct relation to COVID-19, like you stood up a new online service, you brought on new staff, you did some sort of staff augmentation, all of those costs would be allowable expenses under the CARES Act.
All right, next question. What can emergency services and fire protection districts expect in federal funding?
Well, there's a variety of funding available through the Department of Homeland Security. All in, Department of Homeland Security received nearly $46 billion. So there's a couple funding streams that these entities could qualify for. One is a $45 billion funding stream called the Disaster Relief Fund. Those are funds that are eligible to our state, local, tribal, and territorial governments around recovery, medical response, PPE, logistical expenses. You've got firefighter grants. There's $100 million for PPE equipment in the CARES Act as well. There's additional PPE grants through Department of Homeland Security for $178 million. And then there's the emergency management performance grants as well. It's another $100 million. So all in, a fair amount of money, some directly for firefighters in the tune of PPE, but also some funding that'll flow through your states and localities to be used for direct medical and response.
Great. And last question. Could we give a bonus to our employees that had to work during this pandemic and get reimbursed? And then also, second part of this question, can we benefit from the CARES Act for people that are working from home? So can that funding be used for people that are working from home?
So great, it's a two-part question. First part, based on what I'm seeing, I would recommend on the first part, no. Nothing around a particular bonus. If you're incurring additional overtime costs, elevated staff costs, I think those would all be permissible. I'm not sure how well a bonus payment would fly under the CARES Act guidance. Along the same lines, if you've incurred expenses around remote work related to COVID-19, I think those could potentially, obviously, be permissible expenses.
All right, Joe, thanks so much for your time. And thanks to our audience for being so engaged. We look forward to seeing you at our next webinar.